Hello, I'm your host, Wayne Brown, and welcome to the ET Project. We're delighted to be delivering this podcast for executive talent all over the world, whom we're affectionately referring to as Team ET. Today, it's my turn once again, and yes, I'm flying solo. Why? Well, as some of you may know, it means just one thing. It means we're going to be wrapping up our quarter, and in this case, quarter one of 2024. This is episode 94. So today I'm not traveling. I've just come back from a trip to Spain where I was delivering an executive development program for a large group, large organization. But today I'm staying put and sitting here in my Shanghai office. Wow, can you believe that we're already at the end of this first quarter? We've had another amazing 12 guests join us, and they've generously shared their experiences, their knowledge, their insights, which of course is so highly appreciated. Therefore, as we do on the 13th week of each quarter, today we're going to be looking back over our guest lineup and touch on the highlights of those conversations. Also, let's get ready and jump straight in, start with our guest lineup from over the past 12 weeks. And by now you may be familiar with our approach. We chunk our episodes into 4 blocks of 3 weeks at a time. And thanks to our marketing team, we're able to incorporate the promotional intros that we did for each guest to save you listening to my wonderfully croaky monotone voice the entire time. And yes, I know, already you're sitting there saying amen to that. All right, so here we go with our first 3 guests. Mariana Macias, Wayne Mullins, and Karen DeLoach. Let's trip back to the beginning of January, where we met Mariana in Mexico City. And it was episode 81. Mariana's a really interesting person. She transits between New York and Mexico all the time. And she incorporates 100% pure coaching, as well as looking at KPIs and questioning, and lead her clients to experience powerful breakthroughs by making their own commitment to fulfilling their dream while introducing massive action into their lives. It's a great way to start the year back in January. And take the time now, if you're listening to this on video on YouTube, and watch our promotional teaser that we did with Mariana.
It is such an important factor for us in our profession that we do try and stay current. And I think the takeaway message from what you just said is it's something we have to be intentional about, we have to work at, and it's an ongoing, it's a constant. So yeah, very, very interesting. Let's generalize now a little bit and look at leaders of today, and maybe a broad question again, but how they're doing overall. So perhaps starting from the perspective of being self-aware and learning how to harness and realize their full potential. The people you're working with, the different leaders you speak with, what perhaps are some of the challenges that they're facing in achieving that?
Oh, I love this question. So I see that this is a recurrent pattern. I must be able to dare myself to say that. But in a certain way, I do actually see it very often. And the first one is vulnerability. I think this is a huge topic. And I think that a lot of leaders, and more the one that comes from old schools or that have a big credibility and maybe a big name as well. They are very used to say, okay, I already have a voice. I'm already someone credible out there. So, people are going to follow me or people are going to listen to me. But guess what? Even those experienced and amazing leaders, have some vulnerable moments or actually doubts, for taking some decisions, or actually, let's just face it, some mistakes as well. And when they are talking and having conversations or even asking to the people closer to the real problems, I've been seeing a lot of leaders facing and using this last element, like literally they use it as the last possible tool or scenario, which is like, oh, okay, then I think I need to be vulnerable now, because I'm not getting the answers that I would like. I'm not getting the truth out there.
So for you, if you're with me just on audio, at this point, the others are continuing to watch that teaser. We're going to continue on and talk about our next guest. So next up is Wayne Mullins, based in the city of Alexandria in the state of Louisiana in the United States. Wayne's the husband, father of 4, entrepreneur, and is founder of Ugly Mug Marketing. He's also creator of the Freelance Accelerator and author of the book Full Circle Marketing. It's a great short book, really taught me a lot about marketing. And you'll hear us go deeper into that book throughout our conversation. He's an out-of-the-box, against-the-grain thinker, and it's more than paid off for his company as well as his clients. Wayne leads from the heart, and he's passionate and unapologetic about doing so. He's inspired clients from more than 100 industries, and he works to directly influence more than 250,000 entrepreneurs every year. Great guy, fascinating conversation. For those watching on YouTube, have a listen to the topic that we spoke about. It really, as you're reading it from a business perspective, a leader's perspective, it really brings you back down to earth to start to assess and analyze, what are you doing and how does it all fit with your customer? Does it really create that desire? Does it create that belief that there is something better out there? So we've covered attention, interest, desire, and the fourth word in the acronym is action, which of course, without it, the rest is null and void. But could you explain a little bit more about the action, the call to action as such?
Absolutely, particularly for small businesses. What we find to be true is that they do so many things well with their marketing. They get to the very end, but then they don't tell the audience what to do next. So whether that's pick up the phone and call, whether that's click the button now, whether that's visit us tomorrow. So we have to remember that, again, people are in certain habits, in certain patterns, and we have to interrupt that. And the other thing we have to remember is that people are inherently lazy, meaning they're going to keep doing what they've been doing. So we have to come along and tell them specifically, take this next step, do this next thing. And again, it's very subtle, it's very small, but it's those little details that make the big difference when it comes to your campaigns.
And again, for those on audio, here we go. We're going to continue unabated with our third guest for this first block, Miss Karen DeLoach. So Karen's an award-winning artist, an art teacher, author, minister, wife, mother, grandmother, as well as speaker and coach. She holds a Bachelor's of Art in Painting and Drawing and an MA in Studio Art. Karen's written 3 art books, How to Draw, How to Paint, as well as Art History and Appreciation, which are all used in her college and online classes. Karen's inspired hundreds of thousands of creative entrepreneurs and workplace executives worldwide. It's another great conversation. We have a lot in common. Please have a listen to it on YouTube or watch it on YouTube with the teaser and the topic we talk about. For the rest of us, we'll keep going. Karen, you do so many things, by the way. I mean, we didn't go through all the different things that you do. I mean, I know you're a wife and a mother, as well as a grandmother, but you also, with your husband, have a ministry. You're a speaker. You teach, obviously, across different areas of art. You're a coach, I believe. So how do you fit it all in? Like, what's the driving force behind Karen to make it all possible?
Well, being older means that for 30 years I was a mom. I
Right.
taught out of my studio at the home and had homeschooled and was a homemaker. I cooked. My outlook was cooking. And when I was teaching drawing, I was drawing. When I was teaching painting, I was painting. When I was teaching sculpture, I was doing sculpture. But my kids were right in the middle. They're studio babies. And, it was very, very home oriented for 30 years. I was not really promoting my career. I wasn't doing anything online yet. So it's like, once they're gone, once they were, that part of my job, my life was done, it's like, okay, what am I going to do for the next 30 years? Right. I'm used to pouring out and giving, and I don't want to stop now. And, in 2020 is when the art history and appreciation textbook got written. Took me about 9 months to write six, after a lifetime of teaching and doing art, having an opinion. I love art history. That's what's fun about being in Europe. So much of it comes from here.
So that rounds out our first trio. Before we jump headlong into our next guest, we're going to pause here for a short commercial. Did you know that Coaching for Companies offers business consulting to medium and small startups across the industrial sector? We leverage our proven 4X growth formula to assist company leaders identify the gaps and to put strategies in place that help their business performance explode. Head over to our website and complete the free performance health check. And if you choose to, get in contact with us, register for more information, give us a call. There's no obligation. Have a chat with our team and you'll find we're more than happy to support. All right, so we're back, we're live, and we're moving into our next three guests that joined us on the show towards the end of January and into February 2024. The three guests were Richard Blank, Marnie Beecham, and Brian Wood. So we're at episode 84, and episode 84, we're talking with Richard, who happens to be the CEO of Costa Rica Call Center. Pura vida to all. Richard's vision quest is filled with twists and turns. When he was only 27 years old, he relocated to Costa Rica to train employees for one of the larger call centers in the capital. And a fun fact about Richard, which we touch on a lot during our conversation, is that he's managed to build the largest collection of restored American pinball machines, as well as antique Rockola jukeboxes in all of South America, making gamification a really strong part of the Costa Rica call center culture. So Richard's a real character. Please have a listen to us on YouTube or watch us on YouTube as we go through one of the topics. So, as they say in the movies, the rest is history. You go down, you fall in love with the country, with the people, you find the woman of your dreams, you marry that woman. I'm wondering, before you went to Costa Rica, did you ever have the ambition to start your own business, to be the entrepreneur, or were you just exploring life at this stage?
What a wonderful question. Oh, there were such expectations for me. I should have been working at Honeywell or something, or at my family's business. I was supposed to find the company that was offering the most benefits possible and the best salary you could get. And I think that's great, but it also caps you. I mean, if I'd prefer to be a hunter than a fisherman, because I feel that you have more flexibility compared to just being in one place that's stagnant and hoping that you're in the right spot. You can zig and you can zag. The sky's the limit, and every day's fragile. So no, I was in a box. There were such expectations of me. In fact, I hate to say, between me and you and your million-person audience, they thought that my Spanish was a parlor trick. It was cute. And the fact that my great-grandparents came from Europe at the turn of the 20th and spoke Romanian, Russian, German, and Polish, that's one thing. They made their moves. They were the nomad. The fact that it skipped a couple generations and I'm the one that took this spark again and had this vision.
Remember, at this point, if you're not watching the video, then you and I are going to continue into our next guest, or with our next guest, who just happens to be Marnie Beecham. And Marnie is sitting in Shell Harbour on the southern coast of New South Wales in the Illawarra region. Now, New South Wales, Illawarra, Shell Harbour, they're all in Australia. So Marnie's not too far away from my old stamping ground. So Marnie's an award-winning business leader, best-selling author, as well as a coach who's revitalizing the business landscape for women. With over 24 years in business ownership, Marnie has built her own 4 startup businesses, as well as acquiring 3 others. She's revolutionizing the way that new business owners are able to truly thrive. Again, please have a watch of our topic teaser with Marnie and I chatting. Marnie's a really interesting person, been through a lot of hardship in her life, a lot of trauma, and has managed to come through the other side. I won't say unscathed, as we all are damaged to some degree, but has managed to come through the other side. One of the things you developed as a result, I believe, at least maybe it happened before, but you talk about the need to be able to please others or to help others,
Yes.
and not
Yes.
disappoint them, right? And how did that come about? Like, was there a particular trigger that set you on that path? Like, what was the moment where you realized that?
I didn't realize that until adult life, to be honest with you. And writing the book again reinstated that probably the timing where it actually happened, but how it's actually developed so much over the years without me even being aware of it. And as soon as I became aware of it, it made it much easier for me to manage it. But yes, I think one, being the only girl in the family and, you know, wanting to do everything my dad did and my brothers did, I always had that desire to make him proud of me, and that was probably the beginning of it, and to keep up with them. So I always sort of pushed myself and whatever I did to make sure that I did it really well, so that I was up there with that where they were. But then I think when the family dynamics started to change, and you know, some other things happened, it definitely made me take responsibility for that. And I don't know why I took responsibility for that, but I did. And I blamed myself for, you know, the family dynamic falling apart, and maybe it was my fault that dad wasn't there anymore and all that sort of stuff. So, which is not true at all. And obviously over the years with maturity, I, you know, spoke to them both and learned some more about the situation and everything. So that obviously helped. But I definitely had this, you know, this drive to always make sure that everyone's happy, take responsibility for other people, look after everybody else, put everybody else first. And that's what I have done my whole life. It's almost been impossible for me to say no to somebody until, yeah, as I said, until I started to recognize what I was doing. I had this desire, you know, this perfectionist desire that is impossible to achieve. I mean, perfection is not a thing, right? I mean, nobody's perfect. But for me, I think that's why I pushed myself so hard, was because I never felt like I was living up to my own expectations, not anyone else's. They were just my own.
If you're sitting here with me on the audio, let's keep going. So rounding out our second block is we come all the way across the waterways to Arizona in the United States with Mr. Brian Wood. And Brian's achieved all Metro status as captain and holds MVP honors in basketball. So if you don't know what MVP is, most valuable player, of course, very American in his thinking and his approach, although he's had exposure overseas. But Brian played at the William Patterson University in New Jersey. And, you know, throughout his career, he's been juggling family, volunteer responsibilities, doing his online ongoing studies, MBA. I think he did his MBA in Phoenix University back in 2014. He's served as, you know, chairman of the board with different corporations. So wonderful guy. Loved the conversation we had. Hopefully I'll have a chance to catch up with him while I'm over here in the States. Would be fantastic to really put a in-person connection to the conversation that we had. So again, please watch the teaser in YouTube on the video. And while the rest of them are doing that, we're going to continue with another commercial. Let's jump now from what was sort of the glory days, the sports days, now into the real world, the corporate world.
Yeah.
You thought sport was hard until you started working for a living. So where did you kick off in the business world? What was the career like?
Yeah, you're just gonna bring me down a notch now, huh? Right? Just sadly look into the camera here. It's so funny because like those days, I can feel myself excited when you're asking me about these times. And Wayne, I'll tell you, it felt like it lasted 10 minutes. It was so much fun, so much excitement, and it was gone before you know it. I was not a big time athlete. You know, William Patterson University is a small school in New Jersey. So it wasn't like I had aspirations of being this NBA player or
Right.
aspirations, not realistic aspirations. So you know, going into the world of corporate, like a lot of athletes, I think you move into a place where I want to compete. Maybe corporate is a good place to go into. So I went down that route and I stayed there for a lot of years. But part of me, even while I was learning, and even though I had my degree, there was definitely that struggle, and a lot of athletes struggle with this. Their identity, right? Your identity, your how good you are as a human being, and obviously this is not true, but how good you are as a human being is directly connected to the box score and your performance and how the team is doing. And
Yes.
so that was just a struggle. So I moved into corporate and I used competition to make it better, but there was still a struggle with trying to understand who I really was and what I wanted to achieve.
At Coaching for Companies, we offer 3 core services, as we mentioned previously, starting with supporting small to medium-sized businesses in the industrial sector through our performance consultation. Another service that we offer is the ET Development Division. Now, this is where we operate our ET project, which is a free service that hosts these podcasts, as well as our monthly live broadcasts, our quarterly masterclass, and 4 different quarterly challenges, different in the sense that we have 4 different topics, 4 different durations, and they operate every quarter. So in parallel, we also have the ET Academy for either B2B or B2C clients. So business to business or business to, direct customer. And what we focus on there is executive skill development. So we have 3 different offerings. We have 5 short virtual masterminds. We offer 3 tiered flagship programs, long duration programs, anywhere from tier 1, which is 10 weeks, through to tier 3, 12 months. And then we also have the pinnacle, the jewel in the crown for the Academy, our elite destination masterminds, which we conduct at some exotic location 3 times a year, somewhere around the world. We normally change it each year. If you'd like to learn more, then please do yourself a favor, go across to our website, coachingforcompanies.com. The 4 is the number 4, not the word 4. Coachingforcompanies.com. Send us a request for more information, book in a call if you like. We're going to be there to support you. We'd be more than happy to chat with you and see how we can help. All right, so back to the main event. Ready for the second half commencement, and 3 more interesting guests who joined us, Miss Fiona Demar, Mr. Ken Attard, and Miss Karen Brown. So let's start with Fiona Demar, episode 88. We visited Fiona, in Melbourne, in Australia, even though we spent some time talking with her about where she grew up in Broken Hill and also lived in Sydney. Very familiar to me. I can relate to it. Maybe some of the viewers struggled, but a great geography lesson nonetheless. So Fiona is a very interesting person. She's legally blind, but she considers herself a adventure-seeking, obstacle-bounding, no regrets kind of girl. that lives life to the extreme. She spent more than 30 years using her talents in communication, care, and kindness for the support of others. She shares her story and proves that all of us can be resilient, strong, as well as grateful for what life presents to us. So please do yourself a favor. It's a really inspiring conversation. When I first met Karen, I had no idea that she was blind. She was looking at me through the camera. It was only later, as I started to do the research, that I learned that she was legally blind, which makes it just all the more amazing what she's achieved. So please check it out on YouTube. If not, listen to the episode 88. How much is technology playing a role in driving the improvements for disabilities or people with disabilities? Is it really introducing wide-ranging support, or is it still fairly limited?
It's definitely getting better, and it's certainly from my perspective with vision loss, heaps better. So I've never learnt to learn Braille myself because adaptive technology is so good these days that you can, even your standard mobile phone that you buy over the counter will have accessibility features in it. So then you are not having to rely on special, you're not having to rely on special technology.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I mean, and look, some of it is still really expensive and really specialized, but as a general rule, I think, just even, access to audiobooks, for example. I mean, when I was little, you had to go to the special tape library kind of thing, where now, I mean, we all use audiobooks as a mainstream kind of thing. So technology has definitely made my life easier in many, many ways.
So for those still here with the audio, let's keep charging on as we will for the rest of the day. Moving into meet up next with Mr. Ken Attard. So some of you know I'm keen on visiting exotic locations. This will probably become one of our destination mastermind locations. My wife and I have already said that we're going to be heading over there. Ken is based in Malta, small island, sitting in the center of the Mediterranean, if you like, south of Italy. Both my wife and I are excited about the opportunity to go over there, and I've joked with Ken that he best be ready, keep a spare bed made up just in case a couple of unannounced guests arrive on his doorstep. Ken's the founder of Mindset Malta. After successfully working with various clients over the span of 15 years, Ken now specializes as a mindset consultant, specifically helping frustrated entrepreneurs to shift their mindset and create the results that they really desire. Again, jump into the YouTube video, watch what we talk about. If not, you know what's going to happen. You then move into retail and you start buying or opening shops yourself. What was the catalyst though? So how did you get to that point of saying, you know what, I'm enjoying the sales, but it's still not just enough for me for whatever reason? What was there a tipping point?
Yes, there definitely was a tipping point. So I was involved in the sales, and within that company itself as well. I was involved in a retail shop within that company as well. And so I had learned a lot about that business. And the tipping point for me was, as I was saying before, there were a few things that I was seeing that I didn't like, and the way they were being done within the company, that didn't resonate with me. If I look back, and again, at that point in time, I wasn't delving into personal development the way I did a few years later. Yet, looking back, I can see how my values, that certain values were being compromised within that company. And that was the catalyst to me for me to say, you know what, I got to move out and I got to do something completely on my own. So that was definitely the catalyst.
We're going to continue on to our next guest, and we're going to be meeting with our final guest in this block 3, all the way over in Denver, Colorado, in the Rocky Mountains, no less, during winter, what a sight. Snow-capped mountains, trees covered in snow, the ground littered with snow. Majestic. Anyway, we're there to connect with Miss Karen Brown, a focused athlete, having completed and competed as an amateur in the Ironman World Championships, as well as numerous ultra marathon events worldwide, as well as holding down a career that spans more than 30 years as a corporate executive, and since 2012 as the founder of the company Exponential Results. Karen draws on over 20,000 hours of senior executive coaching experience. And for the uninitiated, that's one heck of a lot of coaching. It's a great conversation. Karen's another highly motivating individual. Just listening to her talking about how she, the mindset that she adopts as she puts herself through these grueling marathons is really inspiring for any of you that are weekend warriors yourself, pounding the pavement. Really interesting conversation. Watch it on the YouTube, have a look at the teaser, watch the whole episode. You know, the Ironman, I think you talk about it, you have to complete it within 17 hours. And so you're out there for a long time. It's an individual sport. You may have a team at the different stations, but you're there by yourself. So how do you maintain the focus? How do you overcome the challenges that invariably you face during that period? Like how do you get through it yourself?
Well, as I said in our previous conversation, you think about everything and nothing.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, for me at least, and I other athletes have shared the same thing with me. I think during that long period of time about everything that led me to that day. All of the training, all of the turns of fate that are plentiful in getting to something like that. All of the people and I've come in contact with, all of the relationships I formed, which have ended up being global connections and relationships. The magic of all of those, the wonder of it, and how I guess all of my discoveries during that time frame, during that process, most of which is usually something along the lines of, I used to think it was 90% physical and 10% mental. And it really is the opposite. And so usually during that time when I'm thinking of everything, I'm also marveling at how powerful our brains really are. And that once we understand how they work and our operating system, if you will, it's very easy to leverage that power, the power and the speed of it.
For the others, guess what? We're going to take a short break. So you've heard us introduce already 2 of 3 service divisions, business consulting and executive development. Our third area of focus is coaching. This is where we started. So whether it's coaching for talent, career, leadership, whether it's coaching teams or even the group setting, then we've got you covered. The coaches here at Coaching for Companies are seasoned professionals. Now, I've coached with a lot of people. I spend a lot of time associating with other coaches, and I really love the work that our team at Coaching for Companies does. Having run their own companies, worked as advisors, mentored executives, and coached extensively across their global client base. So, do yourself a favor, check us out. We also ensure that we keep you current as well as experiencing the latest technology, and we do it through our tripod coaching package. What do I mean by that? So when you sign up with us, you're given access to your own AI coach, as well as being assigned a human coach, and then both coaches are combined with our coaching management platform, which is also the latest technology, where clients have direct access through their own portal to the notes, the tools, the templates, the action plans, everything that you cover during the coaching sessions. It really does ensure that we keep you, the client, as our center of focus and attention. So if you're interested, why not go over to the website, coachingforcompanies.com, the number 4, and then connect when you're ready. Ask for more information, send us a message, book in a call, whatever tickles your fancy. All right, so we're back. We're back onto the final trio. And with the final trio, we're going to be talking with 3 more amazing people. I'm really hoping you can start to sense the enormous value on offer here as we work our way through these amazing people. My hope, my own personal hope for you, is that the conversations that we have each week enable you to sort of really learn and grow. I know that my knowledge grows constantly. I'm always amazed after talking with my guests how much I don't know. All right. And they really help fill in a lot of gaps that maybe I wasn't even aware that I had. So we all grow exponentially. These are people willing to share their life experience for your benefit. So I find it invaluable. All right, let's get on to our next 3 guests. In order of appearance, we started with Rodolfo Palati. Rodolfo is sitting over in Italy. Then we moved to France with Colleen Slaughter, and then back across to Austin, Texas, to round out with Dr. Benjamin Ritter. So I should start by saying buongiorno as we're heading over to another of my favorite locations, and I'm hoping you're laughing with me as my pronunciation of all these foreign languages is extremely poor. All right, so let's jump over and catch up with Rodolfo. Sitting in southern Italy, in the city of Naples or Naples, depending on where you come from. And this is episode 91. So Rodolfo is a professional career transition and executive coach, is a leadership trainer, a mentor, as well as a speaker. He helps people who want to undertake a path aimed at discovering their potential to achieve their personal and professional goals. So in short, he's bringing shape to these people, helping them really understand who they are and how they get there. He supports those who want to start such a journey, and then he assists them to overcome the obstacles and the challenges along the way. So please, Rodolfo is a non-English native speaker, so you need to lean in, you need to listen, but his wisdom, his insights are incredible. He's been acknowledged by so many world organizations for the work that he does. So please have a listen, watch it on YouTube, whichever is best for you. So if we think about the emotional intelligence pillars, so what you're talking about first up is the self-awareness that you need to develop around those emotions, and then the self-regulation, how you react and how you deal with those emotions.
Absolutely, the first is self-awareness, and also, but it's also important to practice mindfulness, because you can perceive and live in the present moment. So you have to focus on other things from the future, from the past. Because you lose something, you lose yourself when you do this.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm experiencing this in this right moment. I'm feeling this. I am this in this specific moment. I don't know what will happen in the future, but I know what was in the past. But the past is it's an already written chapter. I call it this. If you want to, if you use a metaphor for life as a book, I love books, and past is an already written chapter. So, but one more things to Another very important aspect for emotional intelligence is empathy. So the ability to understand other feelings and emotions, and also the mental health state, and the ability to welcome it.
Right.
Because yes, because otherwise you could simply have a sympathy. The sympathy is more related to a feeling of pity, but this is not used for the person involved. Okay?
Right.
If you can understand, you can what the person is feeling in that right moment, you can act and react accordingly, and show your compassion. Because we basically are we are humans. We are made of emotions. We can understand and feel what others perceive, and do the right thing.
Yeah.
So I learned how to be and welcome people, even if I don't know them. I don't have no more biases from people, because biases are a simple limitation on welcoming people. I had a tendency many years ago to judge people, to have some biases. No, I don't have it anymore, because it's
Well,
only a limitation for also for our improvement, because I can learn so many things from other people, from different people that are so different from me. In this moment, I'm learning so many things from you, for example.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
For those on YouTube, we'll have you back in a minute. For those that are listening on audio with me, here we go. Let's keep going. Our penultimate guest for this quarter is stationed in Lyon, in southeastern side of France, not too far from the borders of Switzerland and Italy. So we journeyed just a little bit in this last week from Italy across to France. And we're here to visit Miss Colleen Slaughter. Colleen's the managing partner of Authentic Leadership International. As a senior executive coach, a top team facilitator, and a leadership development advisor, Colleen serves leaders and top teams focused on innovation, growth, leading in uncertainty, and making a positive difference. Her clientele is really a who's who, such as the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize recipients, other top leaders in Fortune 500 companies, as well as a numerous number of startup organizations. Check out Colleen and I talking in the teaser. I know you enjoy shifting to a higher level of thought, and that you've been a student of Gita Bellin, and that you even, with your coaching practice, you centered around ontology, essentially exploring ways of being. So we'll probably circle back to all of that shortly. But
yeah, wow. You can imagine your listeners are going, what? Yeah.
Well, I
Anyway,
did warn them at the beginning. So as an opening inquiry, I'm curious about your higher purpose. What is it that you believe you're searching and striving for in the future that potentially your current activities are leading you towards?
Yeah, well, wow, what a question to start with. Okay, so you didn't ask this and we didn't prep this, just so your listeners know, but intuitively, if it's okay with you, I'm going to form a bridge. What the heck does higher purpose have to do with leadership, right? Like, what would be the point of such a question, probably? And in the work that I do, and one thing to note is that I work really closely with with a strategic consulting firm. So I keep my skills really up to date. And so a lot of what's going to be talked about today, just so everybody here listening and knows, it's not so much out of left field as one might think, right? And so the purpose with leaders, what's the point? Well, that is exactly, at least in my definition of leadership, right? So there's so many definitions out there. People even can confuse the definition of leader with the definition of manager. Shall we even go there?
If you're watching this, head over to the full conversation. And if you're not, then we're going to continue unabated once more and finalize our guest roundup for Q1. This week, we're heading to Austin, Texas, in the United States, and we're chatting with Dr. Benjamin Ritter, founder of Live for Yourself Consulting, which he established back in 2016. Benjamin's a leadership and a career coach, a talent development executive. He's a values geek, and we talk about that a little bit during our conversation, an international speaker, an online instructor of the course, Be the Leader of Your Own Career and Create a Career You Love. In addition, and through Live for Yourself Consulting, Benjamin offers consulting services for senior leaders and entrepreneurs that are feeling stuck or unfulfilled at work. And again, full of wisdom, full of insights, and talking from firsthand experience. So Benjamin brings his own experience into this conversation. He really helps us to understand and gives us the opportunity through a very simplistic, a very pragmatic approach. We talk about an ebook that he's made available, Stepping Through 5 Steps. Great way to think about how you can advance yourself, how you can look at your career and move forward. So please have a listen to it on our platforms, our podcast platforms, or you can watch on our YouTube channel, whichever works for you. You mentioned our belief system and being able to reflect back. There's also the chance for many people, I guess, that the belief around their past experience is driving their current experience, and it may not always be positive. So I'm listening as you're speaking, and I'm thinking this is where a coach becomes so valuable, that they can help you see things that you may not see when you're so deep in the middle of everything.
That's the power of coaching, is someone that can sit there and reflect back. Sometimes it's as simple as reflecting back your own thoughts.
Absolutely.
Because once they're out of your body and you're able to hear them from an outside perspective, it can be a game changer. You know, we could do that too. And this is not all coaching is. A lot of coaching is reinterpretation, reframing. They're able to ask questions to get to the information. But let's say you have some of the information. Well, why not set a recorder up, hit record, and just talk to yourself about your experiences. And when you finish a thought, ask yourself a question about what you just shared and literally have a conversation with yourself. It's very similar to journaling, but it's verbal. And I do recommend journaling, but if some people don't like writing, or it takes time, or they make an excuse, they have to set it up. And anytime we create things that can get in the way of us doing something, I say, let's change that process. And so you just set up a recorder, hit record on your phone, and start talking. Go for a walk and start talking, and talk about what you've gone through, and start asking yourself questions about that. You may get to some pretty interesting results, pretty interesting information that you weren't aware of.
So coming up in the next quarter, aside from the podcast lineup, I just wanted to share with you a little bit about where we're heading for the next quarter. Next month in April, for instance, we kick off our second challenge for the year. In fact, we call it the Ultimate 3-Day Challenge. And the topic is learn 3 secrets to influencing change outcomes through story. In May, we host our second virtual mastermind for 2024. Each of these virtual masterminds consists of 4 sessions, each session 2 hours in duration. They're immense in their knowledge and what you get out of it. We immerse you, and it helps you transform. In this case, helps you transform your communications. It's titled Communications as a Core Strength, and it really elevates your ability in 4 critical areas of communication. And then in the 3rd month of quarter 2, in June, we're back with our next masterclass. So, this month in March, we did our Memories Alchemy Masterclass. We're back in June each quarter with our next masterclass. The exact topic hasn't been decided yet because we try and keep the subject matter as current on leadership and business scenarios and relevant for you to that moment. So we develop the content as late as possible. We normally give you a free ebook. So it means we probably have about a month lead in. So we develop the material around about a month before. So it's still pretty current and topical. All right. So now with that Team ET, we've really reached the end of this recap. Hopefully this short review has triggered some, let's say, fond memories and perhaps flagged an episode that you wish to go back for a second listen. As we move now into the start of Q2 in 2024, we've got another exciting 12 guests waiting to join us. They're going to share their stories, their insights, their wisdom, all free of charge. It's invaluable. It's something that I listen to other podcasts, regardless of where they are, the time frame. I download and record and listen at my own leisure. You cannot get enough insights from people who have experienced life and their business, their careers firsthand. So with that, hoping to see you again next week. We get started with Dr. Benet Parker, who helps top executives and leaders transform their organizational culture while recognizing that they're part of that transformational journey. Until then, enjoy the end of this quarter celebrations. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye for now.
So what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button below and click on the bell icon so I can pop up in your feed occasionally with a great tip for your ultimate growth.